morning, Michael.
Good morning, Coach. How are you?
I'm enjoying a beautiful, cloudy, rainy, cool Monday.
Welcome to ugly sweater season, buddy.
Oh, Christ.
That's what I saw. The first ad I saw this morning was, it's ugly sweater season.
Yeah. Well, at least that's one of those seasons where you can choose to participate or not choose to participate. And I choose not to.
Oh, come on, man.
Hey, man, it's, that's just my personality.
Does it make you uncomfortable?
Sweaters in general make me uncomfortable. I don't own a sweater, much less an additional ugly sweater.
Did you ever wear sweaters?
Maybe when my parents dressed me. Yeah, way back in the day. Yeah, like 3rd or 5th grade. But yeah, not a sweater guy.
Yeah, well, that had to be different. I mean, I was a big sweater guy because, you're up cold. In the cold, they're just kind of a functional item.
Yeah, don't they make coats for that kind of thing?
Yeah, but you got to layer. You got to layer up, man.
Don't they make thick coats for that kind of thing?
Well, thick coats, but then, you kind of moving in and out of the house sometimes. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's, you just try to do the best you can with the sweaters.
Yeah. Well,
I went through a big cardigan phase, actually.
I think I didn't, but I think a lot of people have gone through rough times in their lives and they've turned to the cardigan phase.
That was totally it, man.
Like I see you wearing a cardigan. Everything okay? Just checking in on you. Yeah, I've never been able to wrap my mind around the two things: the sweater vest.
Oh yeah.
And the turtleneck.
A turtleneck, yeah. I don't think I went with the mock turtleneck quite a bit.
Yeah,
I know. I think it was when I was in my reading phase. I was reading a lot, wearing cardigans and mock turtlenecks.
Yeah, well, you were trying to find out who you were, and thank God you found out you weren't that.
I was a faux scholar.
Yeah, really. Yeah, if you had found out that, this podcast wouldn't exist.
Yeah, you're probably right.
No, probably about it. You wouldn't have. Yeah.
Who knows what rabbit hole I'd be going down now?
Yeah, book club rabbit hole.
Book club. Yeah.
We'd be reviewing the top 10 New York bestsellers.
Right. Speaking of top 10.
Dude, come on.
Hey, look, man, I'm totally realistic
you,
about it. I think they got it right.
I don't even know what it is. I mean, I can tell you from, a college football experience. I actually woke up Sunday morning and had no idea if Tennessee had won or not.
Oh, yeah. I get that, yeah.
That's how detached I am. But I will say that of all the years you guys decided to not play one really tough out-of-conference game, it might get you this year.
Oh, for sure, yeah. I mean...
but hey, what can you do? And ultimately, I think it's all, a moot point until you guys... make it to and or win the conference championship game. But yeah, I get it. Wisconsin in the top 10, yada yada yada. And
no. I mean, the thing about it is actually, yeah, we didn't. We had been playing Alabama and LSU in the off conference, which would have been huge, obviously. But this year we went to Utah. I mean, not Utah, BYU, which is usually a pretty tough road game, legit little road game. Okay, but they're terrible this year.
That's the thing is when you scheduled it. You think, okay, this could be legit.
Right. And Utah State's usually a pretty good team. They're down. We played them.
Yep.
We played Kiffin's team, FAU. They're going to win their conference probably. Not that that's a huge deal. But, I mean, it's not an awful schedule, but that whole BYU thing when they came out and had a bad year, that really crushed us a little bit. But I think it's right. I don't think, I think if Wisconsin runs the table, they're going to be in. But I really don't know if we can run the table, So... we got to do that, and then we'll see.
Who knows, man? Who knows? I know that I was detached from the UT game. We were doing a bunch of stuff.
Hey, listen, that's a bonus. In a way. It kind of sucks that your team's down, but I've been through those cycles.
Not really. I mean, it does, but, I mean,
But
I
it
don't
lets you, it
like.
kind of opens a whole new world. You can
Well,
kind
I
of.
mean, I've got enough stuff on my plate anyway. I've got
That's what I
other
mean.
important things to do, and I've never been one of those, really guys. Well, at least recently, since I've matured, um, that rants and raves about their professional and college teams all the time.
Yeah.
But hey,
It frees up space
there.
in your mind. There's no
It
question.
does, yeah, space and well, it frees up energy and passion. It's not because it's not wasted on somebody else's dreams like it basically is for college football and
Oh, I
uh,
know it. I
NFL
know.
team. Just wasted energy and stuff like that. But anyway, um, speaking of energy and passion, what about Shin Flanagan taking the win yesterday in the New York City Marathon?
Well, you're gonna have to elaborate on that one because
Let me guess. You're watching like the post Wisconsin football wake up morning with the coach review
no,
instead of watching Shalane Flanagan win the New York City Marathon.
no, I wasn't watching anything, but I wasn't
No. Okay.
watching that.
Yeah, it was. We watched it, and man, was it awesome. I mean, A, to see an American win it, because it's been a long time, but B, just somebody who's been through what she's been through, and to see like just how awesome it felt to win that race and the things she said afterwards, and she missed Boston because earlier this year because of a stress fracture, um, and comes back to win the New York City Marathon. And yeah, very cool.
You had the
Um,
quote. What was the quote again? Do you remember it?
oh yeah, it was her quote, which I think I mean we talk about it all the time, but uh, it was. Let me pull it up. It's gotten bumped down yeah, it's her quote was, and this is earlier this year. It's like in the midst of an ordinary training day, I try to remind myself that I'm preparing for the extraordinary.
It's always there.
It is, which is totally 100% true. Because we get so caught up in, um, like we talk about all the time, the Strava PR workouts, when it's all, we talk about we talked about have a podcast on it, and you covered the subject I thought really well. It was about the cumulative fatigue, and I think sometimes we don't necessarily cover the cumulative success, and what it takes to build on build on build, and doing it slowly, and then ultimately it leads to breakthrough workouts that were unplanned. But that if you go out and and I think we're all like this, like it's much more fun and we get more jazzed up. Like I think athletes generally probably lean towards skipping those easy 30-minute runs or those easy, hour runs, and the stuff that doesn't necessarily, it doesn't get your juice flowing,
Hmm.
and but you see, like, I know this, and a lot of the listeners probably don't, but the Monaghetti run is, without question, of all the workouts in my library, probably the leader in the clubhouse in terms of favorite runs that athletes do, or just a favorite workout that my athletes do. And it is not easy, and it's super hard, but people rarely ever miss it, because it's one of those peak ones. It's a man, I can't wait to test myself and go fast. And I think that in terms of the consistency aspect of it, we tend to, oh well, what's that easy one gonna matter? And if you skip an easy 30-minute run, once a week, well, that's 2 hours a month, and now you're looking at missing 24 hours a year. And they always add up, and once you get into the mode of skipping, you skip. But I just thought it was a great quote in general and that's for everything in life, and not just training and racing. It's with business and relationships. It's always about doing the little things, because doing the little things right is what really truly makes anything great, because they're often, it's, sports, football, it's, to circle way, way, way back to, Wisconsin basketball. And I think we've covered this before, is I think one of the main reasons they are so successful all the time is because they don't land those 5-star recruits who think they've already got what it takes. They've done the high level of AAU. They don't really need to develop more. They, oftentimes miss free throws or miss, chip shots, or can't play defense late in the game because they haven't focused. But a school like Wisconsin, where you might get 2, 3, maybe the occasional 4-star, they are literally one of the most disciplined teams you'll ever see.
Mm-hmm.
And they always they always like analyze and break down, like when it comes time to the tournament, can you make free throws, which is totally 100% void of athletic ability. It's all about practice.
Mm-hmm.
Practice. And they always have one of the highest free throw percentages, and they commit the least amount of fouls, and because they're so disciplined. But it's doing the little things right that take you to the next level. And I had an athlete text me this morning, and we were talking about the Shalane Flanagan quote, and he said something he said, deep down inside, I'd love to qualify for 70.3 World Championships one day, and also Boston, but I know that I'm not anywhere near that yet. And I just responded to him and said, but if you execute today, you're one step closer.
Mm.
And that's how you have to think about it, and wake up and approach every single day. And that's where, besides a lot of other, I think, aspects and characteristics, is where professionals really separate themselves from the amateurs. It's always committed to the little things, always committed to never skipping, the easy stuff, and knowing that one day it's all going to add up. And when it does, it more than compensates for everything.
Yeah, and obviously, I think we saw that this weekend with our good friend Elyse.
Yes.
How about this? Elyse wins Ironman Florida.
Yes. I mean, we know. I think Ironman Florida is our thing. We know Jack, who and he's been on the show, who won Ironman Florida last year.
That's right.
Elyse is a very good friend of the show, an athlete that I've worked with and known for a very long time. And
she's C26 camper.
She has C26 camper. I've known Elyse for 5 or 6 years, I think, and coached her for a few years, very awesome. So it's very, very cool. At that course is great for her, and to back that up with what she did in Kona is just a really, really awesome. Talk about a solid 30-day span that most people would give to span over 10.
I know, 30 days off of Kona, and I'm sitting here going, man, if I can get a 5-mile run in today, that'd be awesome. Well, I saw that somebody posted like, unbelievable, you're a beast or something like that, and I just was like, well, maybe she probably ran a marathon or something. I didn't even know what she was doing, and after a couple Facebook clicks, I found out that she actually won Ironman Florida.
Mm-hmm.
And she, when she came to camp, you could just see it in her eye too. I mean, she just loves working out, and she's not missing anything.
Got to.
And she's just going. I could just see. I mean, you could see her. I've known her for a few years too, obviously, and I totally saw her evolution this year. It was just at a different level of commitment, and I just saw the focus in her eye. I mean, she was out there just crushing everything we were doing on a little camp weekend. So good for her. Congratulations, Elyse. We love you.
We do. And if she comes and stays at your house, she brings Normatec boots and tons of food.
Yeah.
So, she stayed with us at camp, and she had Normatec boots and pretzels and those just stellar Cliff bars. But all kinds of good stuff.
Mm-hmm. And she gave me a mixer, one of those electric mixers for blending.
Oh, that was nice.
Yeah, it was. I use it in my butter coffee. Knew you'd like that one, buddy.
Moving on.
On my way to live to 180 years old.
What a complete nut.
Anyway,
I'm not wasting a single second talking about that character.
No.
Nope.
Yeah, I was just thinking. Well, at least what she did there, She left Kona and went out and did another Ironman 30 days later and won it. I mean, you talk about, I don't know. I was just thinking about how I got to get out of my comfort zone, and that's a pretty good way to, that's a pretty good example of it. It's like taking it to another notch.
Well, I mean, why do you have to take it to another notch?
Well, I don't know. I just think I need to get out of my comfort zone a little bit in training, and whether that means trail running, or I got to dust off my mountain bike, or I got to, maybe go on a road trip and go running with some people. I don't know. I need a little spark, buddy.
Oh, isn't consistency really out of the norm for you?
Yeah.
So what if you did that?
If I got, that'd be out of my comfort zone, wouldn't it? Yeah. That's a
Even
good
something
point.
short.
Yeah.
We've talked about, that kind of onboarding process for somebody who's been in a funk is just to do, don't start out with 2-a-days. Don't start out with, this monster week. Just literally do one thing a day.
Mm-hmm.
Because and that is the biggest part of that's one of the consistency. I know we slam it all the time, and I'm sure people get annoyed hearing about it, but if you're still listening by this time, you probably like it, and or you bought in. But it's all about consistency and loving it, and then not wanting to miss because you have this streak. And I mean, honestly, that's the kind of groove I'm in right now. I think I'm 2 weeks in, no missed workouts, no missed days, no days off. Done something every day, and pumped to do it again this week. But I think it's, I have a clear. Honestly, I think it comes with a clear. It doesn't have to be a goal race. Like a lot, we talk about that. Like you have to have a race on the radar, a race to execute, a race to kind of get you jazzed, and yeah, I think that's true. But I think if you, before that, or in addition to that, if you just figure out what you want to do, even if it's not a race, or your biggest focus is for the next year, or even just today, then I think you're in much better shape than the next person, because a lot of people right now are just kind of floating. They're kind of in between. They're standing in a doorway. You're not going anywhere. You're not come from anywhere. You're just kind of blah. I don't know how to structure my off season. I don't know what to focus on. Everything's so far away. I don't know how to get motivated. What should I do? Should I do a run focus, bike focus? Should I do trainer road or Z-Swift? Or what about these swims? Or should I do trail running? It's like, it's back to one of our, more popular podcasts. And it was, you're doing the same thing that you sometimes do during the season. That's just, you are consumed by distraction. And it's not fancy, and it's not, if I posted like the differences in my weeks, you would literally see like very little. I do very close to the same workouts almost every single day. And if you looked at, like a cut and pasted a week to the week, a little bit more running or a little less, one more interval than the week before. But it's about consistency. Like you don't have to like have this like revolutionary brand new thing to do, like for me. And for a lot of athletes, to get you just, jonesing for the next week. But a lot of people need that spark, or they need that distraction, and they need that big thing to get them going. And, for me right now, I've got mine. And I think that, for somebody like yourself who's kind of coming off, a race that you weren't really happy with, but you want to get going, it's like, what is it you really want to do? Because I think a lot of people, and based on the last few podcasts we've done, when you've kind of talked about your not disgust with Louisville, but your disappointment with Louisville, and then also some other realizations. It's like, all right, well, right now I'm kind of caught. I'm caught in between shooting too high, and I'm caught in, or before I'm caught in just doing the minimum and seeing what happens.
Mm-hmm.
And I see where that got me, and that was something you were disappointed in terms of your performance at Louisville, and then it's like, oh, but I'm gonna go to Chattanooga and I'm gonna get on the podium.
Mm-hmm.
It's like there's you went from the bottom floor to the penthouse And there's a whole lot of stories and levels in between that can get you to the penthouse, but it's a lot easier just to take one floor up at a time. And I think that, for somebody, like you in your current position, that's the most important thing, is map out a plan, uh, and focus on it and figure out exactly what it is you want to do. And I think that'll lead you to, your best answer.
Yeah, and again, I do try to bite off a lot more than I can chew. And that's sort of my pattern. But it's like we're doing this podcast. I was just thinking, maybe we should start recording these podcasts at 6 a.m. and that way, because I get fired up, doing the podcast. I wake up and I'm kind of ready to go and everything like that. But I've always been the guy would love to get in like a morning routine, and it's just like elusive as it gets. So, I haven't been completely disregarding everything. I've been doing little things and trying to keep it out there. I just don't, I guess, my legs just don't feel like doing it yet too much. So, but you're right. It's just a little things, and I guess just because I didn't get it done at 6 a.m., that doesn't mean I can't do it after this or whatever, and just keep doing it because I have that flexibility. It's just really it's coming down to pattern or getting into habits, and that's
Yeah.
always been my weakest. Um, especially with the flexibility we've created, which is exactly what I want. But you know what I mean? You get into this you create this world where you have flexibility, but then you have to force yourself to create consistent patterns within it, or it just it becomes sort of the same prison with a different face in many ways.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, so let me ask you this. Do you even know what you want to accomplish next year?
No, it's not clarified. I I think what I want is just to hit my to get into my potential, and that's just too vague. I think, or is it? I don't know. I mean,
Is it too vague?
I don't know. Probably
I mean,
not. But yeah, you're right. But I want to do it. I want to be in the penthouse, right?
Right, that's right.
It's like, I don't want to. I want to go through what it takes to get there, like you're saying, like do those extra drills. I talk about this all the time. I had, when I played college baseball, I wasn't the guy who worked. I was the guy who did what I'm doing now, basically. So, I go in and out of these things where I work hard and do the little things, and I've talked about before, like in the past when I've been training for Ironman and everybody else was at the 4th of July party and everything like that, and I was doing a double, 8-mile run or whatever in the rain. And that's where I want to be. And because I got to keep that, that's when I know what I'm going after and I can see it and I know what it takes, and I used to, when I played college baseball, I just used to kind of go through the motions. I was good enough to kind of get by, and I'd go to practice and do whatever. But then after I got out of that and started playing competitive softball, I kind of got a new bug for it, and I was like, man, I could be a lot better than I have been, if I worked at these things. So I would while I'm playing, basically, Thursday night softball at the local, place, which is pretty competitive. But in my off days, I would go over to the school and work on my backhand. I'd throw wall balls just for hours, and it really paid off. And it was just the little things, and that's probably where I need to go, is just like you're talking about, these little things you do that don't seem like, it seems like, well, that's not going to help me, whatever. But they really pay off cumulative effort in a long run. So
Yeah, I mean, it is cumulative effort, but I think you touched on something that has been at the forefront of my mind this week, is or in the past few weeks, when getting so focused on where I am, and you see, I want to get better, I've got all this time, and I was like, for me, it's like that's all I need right now. Like, I'm married, we have a 15-month-old, we're in a new house, we finally got settled in, job is flexible, we don't have anything, we're not moving states again anytime soon. You've gone through a lot of changes the last, year and a half, 2 years, and it's like I don't ever know if I'm ever going to have this opportunity again.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know if, something will change with Allie's work, or we'll have another kid, a baby soon, or anything can always happen. I don't, as while I don't see C26 or Crushing Iron going anywhere anytime soon, it's like, 5 years from now, who knows? So like, to be able to wake up and make my own schedule and fit things in and be flexible and have this as like, something that I do for, quote unquote as a job, but also for a passion, is like, I don't, people dream about this kind of thing, and and I feel like I've wasted time before, and I guess my number one thing this year is I'm committed to not wasting any more time.
Yeah, that's a huge one.
And I think we all, I do that. I've done that in the past, and that's where I'm at. I'm like, I'm done. I'm not wasting any more time. And also, it just for me, it's like, they always talk about like what's the hardest race you've ever done. And I cannot remember for the life of me who said this to me originally, but somebody said the hardest race that you've ever done is the one you're currently training for. Because we all get stuck into, I'm not going to fall back onto the Ironman letter jacket thing, but there is a very real thing called, the Ironman Depression, or, what you would consider like in the NFL quarterback, like the second year slump, where you came in, everything's new, and you're so focused, and you're catching people off guard, and you have all success. And the second year, everybody's kind of figured you out, and you got to find something different, and you got to adapt. And now, your 2 reads might lead to 3 leads, or 4, 4. And, it's I think you've always told me this. It's like the biggest difference, and it doesn't seem like that much in the minors and the majors, is one extra pitch.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what it kind of is like in terms of, racing and looking at your next year, or you've just done one Ironman. You're like, but I got this. Like, I can do this. And then, but you always have to change. Things always have to be a little bit different, and you can't just rest on your laurels. And it's, and yeah, it's consistency, but it's also like, I don't know when I'm ever going to have this opportunity again, or I don't know when I'm ever going to lose it. Which is also like why I reason that like, and I think that just goes with my thoughts and feelings on just like overall health. Like I had an athlete that was texting me, she said how horrible it is for like type A athletes to be sick. And you're so depressed, and it's like, and you feel awful, and you can't work out, and you're like going upstairs, you're under breath. And I sent this specific athlete a text back, and I said, yeah, but guess what? A whole lot, and I'm talking like millions and millions of people live like that every single day.
Yeah.
They walk up a flight of stairs and they're out of breath. They can't go to their mailbox without, some people literally drive to their effing mailbox to get mail out because they're so out of shape, or they don't want to do the extra. I'm like, so think about that for a minute. Like, we get upset or sometimes even depressed because we can't work out, we can't exercise, we can't train, we're not on something. We're missing out because we're sick, when the majority of the population, in my opinion, is sick. Whether it's heart disease or diabetes or whatever it is, and some of it's cause, some of it's not cause, but it's like people wake up like that and feel like that every day. And it's just like, when am I've got this opportunity now, whether it's a sprint, an Olympic, whatever. You're just in your first year of this race, and you're like, I know I haven't completed a lot yet, but guess what? You're actually like in a position to where you can. So who's saying you can't? And then you think, well, I can always do it next year. Or yeah, but I can wait later in the season. And I'm not like gonna pull the, all you've been given is today. Like, I get that. Like, I think everybody kind of gets the whole philosophy behind that mentality, but for a lot of us, it's like, I mean, to be honest, I don't ever know if I'm going to have this, opportunity again, or to make it as, you can always make things work, but it's like, why wait? Why keep pushing it off? Because someday you're going to wake up and you're going to be that guy that's like, yeah, but, like that loser that was giving one of our favorite Facebook forum group persons a hard time in the pool, that was lamenting on their like times 20 years ago. It's like woulda, shoulda, coulda, living on something like that happened 20 years ago. And you're going to look back and think, yeah, man, what about all the missed opportunities like that I could have done? And do you want to leave? Yeah, we don't do this for professionally, but we do it as a hobby. But to an extent, doesn't mean we can't treat it professionally. And do you want to look back and think, yeah, I mean, but I had, or do you want, even worse, do you want people to look at you and think, man, they had so much ability and they never used it? For the athlete or the individual or the amateur, the newcomer who looks on somebody and thinks, God, they look what they can do off barely any training or inconsistencies, and I've got to work 20 hours just to get this.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, that's where I am, and I'm just like, okay, I don't know if I'm gonna have this opportunity again, so I'm gonna focus. And I've gone through many ebbs and flows in my life of, I wouldn't say not taking it seriously, but just not having my head in the right space and not focusing, and always, I guess it's that I just want to find out. Like, all those times I thought to myself, I feel like I've got the athletic ability and the talent to do X. And I guess I just want to find out if that was just BS or not, or am I right? And I'd like to find out.
As you were talking about Ironman Depression and they're being sick, how you said an athlete was sick, and how you can't walk to the mailbox and can't breathe or whatever. It kind of dawned on me as like, maybe, because I think that Ironman Depression is definitely a real thing, and a lot of people are wondering about it, and I've thought about it many times, and like, what is this? And what if maybe it's just a reminder of how lucky we are, and
Yeah.
it's sort of a sign that, it says, hey, to take advantage of what we really have when we have that opportunity. It's sort of like, life is never always smooth. There's always, it's kind of like the saying, problems are just a new opportunity or something like that. When something bad happens, there's always opportunity if you just look at it the right way. And maybe that Ironman Depression is just sort of a natural cycle of, it's sort of like the seasonal cycle or whatever. It's just sort of like a reminder to, hey, chill for now and just be happy that you're going to be able to come back and do something greater, And I think when I look at it that way, because you're right, it's like that is the biggest fear in a lot of ways, is the regret or the potential regret of it. You look at somebody like, what was that guy's name, Marcus Dupree, that like supposedly the best ever high school running back.
Yep.
And who never really panned out to anything. And I mean, like, I can't imagine living that kind of thing. It's like all the talent in the world, and you just kind of, it just sort of gets squandered. Maybe he's not the best example, but there's millions of them, and then we're microcosms of that, all of us. We all have potential that we would love to reach. And that certainly is a huge fear of mine, is future regret, which is a bizarre thing, but I think we all deal with that and all think about that in a way. And I think that is the reminder to just feel grateful that you get into these funks maybe, and it forces you to, like, wake up another step. It's like, all right, get going, man. Don't look back on this and regret that you had all this free time, or you had this opportunity, or you were able to run a marathon or do Ironman or do triathlons, and you didn't give it what you should have, or wish you would have.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, or wish you would have. I think that's why you see, I think sometimes said or sometimes unsaid, why it's so hard for some athletes to retire. The athletes, I think generally speaking, the athletes that feel like they've just totally left it out on all, like, the whole table. They gave everything they had. They did everything right. They maxed out their 100% ability. Walk away, outside of the competitive nature of it, or the uneasiness of a normal life, they walk away much easier than the ones still holding on, because they still have something left to prove, or they think, yeah, but I can still do this, because they don't know, because they haven't tried. And I think that, when the day comes, because it'll come for all of us, at some point to pick a new hobby, or step away from triathlon and just swim or just bike or just run, or just do none of it, whether it's because of family situations, life, business, whatever it is, will we be okay stepping away thinking, yeah, but I did my best, I loved it, I had a good time, or will I have any regrets? And while I don't think any endeavor in general, athletic, professional, or personal, is ever perfect, I think because I think, and I think I've talked this before in a podcast, or that I heard from another podcast with Ryan Holiday, is he's like, when you ask 70, 80-year-old people about their life, and they ask them if they have any regrets, you rarely ever hear that they had any, because at the time it may have seemed like a regret, but if you learn from it and it changes who you are and changes how you approach things, then you wouldn't change it and it no longer becomes a regret. Regrets only happen when you fail to recognize what you did to make it a regret and change it for the next time. And so you can continuously choose to have a season after season regret. I just didn't run enough. I just didn't bike enough. I just didn't do this. Or, you know what? I should have spent more time with my family. Or I should have done this, or I should have done that. But if you continue to have those same regrets every single year, then they will be regrets. But if you have a bad season, or you have a bad race, or you didn't execute the way you want to, or you didn't prioritize your life in a healthy balance, with work and family and hobby, then those are regrets. But if you learn from them and you choose to make things differently, then they won't be regrets. That'll be it could be the best thing that ever happened to you.
You said something there about, people that kind of stick in the sport. I think there's probably a ton of people, we kind of joke about one and doners on Ironman and stuff like that, but I'm sure there's a lot of those people that have zero regret about their triathlon career. They just wanted to do it and moved on to something else. But if you're hanging around the sport of triathlon year after year, and you're harboring, those regrets, or that hope that you can get better, and you keep never getting better, or you never get to that level, that becomes the challenging part, right? Because you're still doing the same thing. And that's what I was talking about, is getting out of your comfort zone. I think people who get in and do a one and done are getting way out of their comfort zone. They get out of it, and then they go into another place, and when I say comfort zone, it's just sort of like more challenges, or just have challenges in front of you, and that you're passionate about in life in general. It doesn't have to be Ironman, but some people do that, and they choose to do that, and they accomplish it, and it's not something that they go, well, the next year I want to come back and cut an hour off of that. They just kind of, do something else or whatever. But if we stick in the sport and keep kind of going out and getting the same results, that is when you start going a little bit haywire.
Yep.
So you have to, within the confines of the training or this sport itself, you have to up the ante, year, months in advance, and really get the pleasures out of that. So yeah, it's just a good reminder for me too we sit here and talk about it all the time, but it's so easy to kind of forget, I guess, is that you have to have little goals that you just, little mountains that you're climbing all the time, and that becomes that extraordinary event in the end.
Yeah, and I think it's, are you really ever satisfied?
I don't know. I mean, that's a great question, because I think you should be on some level. If you're.
Oh no, I
what
agree.
I mean?
Yeah. I agree. Totally agree with you. And I think as I kind of break that question down a little bit more, it's like, am I satisfied with my execution and my effort and how I went about things? Yes. Part B of question, am I now content? And then I think the answer to part B of that question is what will lead you to another year, or being able to accomplish something even greater than you did this year, or this month, or this week, or today. Yes, I did things great. Like, I'll use us for example. What if you're just like, I'm just content with how things are going. Let's just close the Facebook groups and we'll just go back down to one podcast, a week. We've reached enough people. We're good to go. Like you and I meet every week, and it seems like trying to figure out how we can continually do things better. Are we satisfied with what we've accomplished? Yeah, I think we're blown away at just how much it's changed our lives and how many people we'll be able to come in contact with and what it's done. But we're not content. We still want things to be better. We still want to do more things for our athletes, and we still want to be able to provide more services. It's like, what's the next? Like, we keep doing what we continue to focus and continue to try to perfect what made this circumstance satisfactory. But it's what we do after that defines, I think, how long it'll be satisfactory or even better. Because I think every day you wake up, your definition of what satisfies you is always different. Like, whether it's going through like workouts and PRs and whatever, it's just like, well, achieving this at a race was once satisfactory. Well, now what? Now you wake up the morning after just dominating a race, and you either wake up and you think, that was good. I think I'll come back in this year because I think I can do that time again. Mm-hmm. Or the first question you ask is, what do you think I can do next year? Or how much faster do you think I can get? It's satisfied, but I guess that's a better way to phrase it. It's satisfied but not content.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. I think, we look at the C26 and the podcast and everything like that as, this thing that's just honestly feels like it's just germinating, and we see all the possibilities. I mean, we're just sort of scratching the surface on, we're 100 and some podcasts in, and I know that we both feel this way, that at the beginning it was like, what are we going to talk about? But now I feel like that's an endless pool. It's an endless ocean of topics, because we're all in this, and everybody's here, and everybody's just trying to get better, not only on the course, but in life. And that's the stuff that, I was talking to you about. I can't believe how many good people that we have in our group, and how many nice people, and how many positive people and stuff like that. I always used to think about guys like like Mark Zuckerberg, for example. Started Facebook. He could, 5 years ago or 4 years ago, he could have probably sold it for $1,000 billion or whatever, right? And I'm like, why doesn't he just sell it? And but obviously he has a way, way deeper purpose, and he enjoys the process, and he sees, like you're saying, different levels of satisfaction that are coming out of that, and that whole, the whole thing he's building has infinite potential, and he's right where he wants to be. I mean, that's just now how I see it now. Because like, I always wonder why these people just didn't sell these things and go sit on a beach, but that's not life, right?
And it's not their personality,
right? And
it's like, yeah, it's good, but God, I want to see it great.
Right? Yeah, they're finding pleasure and passion in everything that they're doing. Mm-hmm. And that's what the sticky point is, right? It's like, how do you find pleasure and passion in going out and busting your ass every day? Or do you switch the perspective and think about it in terms of how it's going to make everything better and easier down the road?
Yeah, I mean, and I think it just comes down to, I know that X, Y, and Z has a purpose. One might be fancy, one might be, kind of meh, but they all complement each other, and they all get me to where I'm wanting to go. And I think that's just what you have to decide. Am I satisfied? Am I content? Am I willing to adapt? Am I willing to change things? And am I really? I think it's that like objective, like I think this is a podcast for another day, but it's like doing an end of season, athletic / personal inventory. What did I do right? What did I do wrong? Where can I get better? Where, how can I balance things? And that goes with like your personal and hobby. It's like, because some people could balance things differently, and then, what do I realistically have the ability and the time and the finances and the motivation to change or to get better, and where do I not? And I think that that's why this time of year is like the most popular time to buy gear, because it's usually a time saving. Like, oh yeah, I'm gonna buy this, and people spend thousands and thousands of dollars over Christmas and January and tax refund on like all this new, and it's like, I mean, get out a sheet of paper, get out a pen, pros, cons, good, bad, personal inventory. What did I do right? What did I do wrong? How can I get better? And am I willing to do what it takes to move my, woulda, shoulda, couldas over into my did column? And what could that result actually lead to? And how bad do I want that result to change? And then I think that's where you get started.
Yeah, that whole shopping thing is kind of that shiny new object syndrome.
Mm-hmm.
And really that's what doing, sometimes your first 70.3 or your first Olympic or your first Ironman, that's what that can be. And then once you do your Ironman, it's like, okay, now the hard work starts. And, the decision starts. It's like, yeah, that pro-con list, or how did I do, or and how am I going to go into this again? I mean, I've seen it, many, many times with people doing their second and third one. It's like, where do they find it, but it's, yeah, because it becomes a gorilla in the corner of the room more than it does a mountain that you want to scale. And it's really the hard, it's hard, but it's the good stuff, and
Mm-hmm.
and that's the beauty of it, really. If you look at it as a quote unquote career in triathlon or hobby career, there's so many little nuances that force you to tackle challenges that can transfer into life. And I think it's just about, as we were talking about earlier, my habits, for example, and it's just about me wanting to build better habits I think those are transferable skills.
Yeah, I agree.
So I don't know. Speaking of
That's all right. We can end with I don't know. We don't always have to have the answer.
no, we don't. It's all about the quest, right? And if we always had the answer, man, I don't know if anything would even be fun anymore.
For real.
Do we want to talk about? Oh man, now we got a big hum out of here all of a sudden.
Oh man, my laptop's about to die. I plugged my charger in.
All right, we're good now.
Okay.
We talked about a little bit our podcast. Do we want to talk about the other edition podcast?
Not yet.
Not yet.
I think we should talk about that on the day it's released.
Oh,
after.
Really?
Yeah.
I
don't know. What do you think?
I don't know. We got a kind of a cool, exciting new idea around
you're
the
right.
idea.
It's too awesome to hold back. It's like the perfect Christmas gift. You just got to tell somebody.
We feel like we don't have enough podcasts. So we're going to add more. But we're taking it down a different road.
Podcast brought to you by Mike Terali.
Yeah, I have a theory. I'm going to answer all the questions with my new theories.
Yeah.
No, that is not true. Although I could see that potentially being something of interest down the line.
It is, and I do. I have to say that this was, Mike and I sit down again, like I said earlier in the podcast, probably once a week, and try to figure out, what can we do better? How can we offer more things? How can we, do this and that, and an extension of this, an extension of that, and And honestly, like we spend like 2 or 3 hours talking and mapping things out, and then literally it always comes back to like the exact same thing, literally every time.
Mm-hmm.
And that is, what else can we do more for the athletes that we already work with? Um, and somebody mentioned this off the cuff, I think, in the closed Crushing Iron group, I think last week or the week before, and you came up with an outstanding. We've been doing these like introductions of athletes on our C26 active athlete page for the athletes that we coach, and they've been kind of sharing their story and their why, and opening up about themselves, and that brought us to our next phase. And I'll let you take it from here.
Oh, really? You're gonna let me take it?
Yeah,
Well,
man,
yeah,
you deserve it. You came up with you 100% deserve it. Take it away.
Well, I was just thinking about that, because we talk about like our stories a lot, and I think that the personal side of our challenges or our whys and why we got into it and what we're going through resonates, and the kind of the our podcast as it is just sort of kind of become you and I talking about these sorts of things, and I think that connects. But we wanted to take it to a new level because we've occasionally interviewed some of our athletes. So, and everybody has a great story, and we want to know everybody's story. It's really cool getting to know these things. I mean, we sat around at some of the camps and share stories with people, and everybody's just, they got their own why, and they've got their own interesting angle on triathlon and life and what they've been through and stuff like that. So I was just kicking it around. I was like, why don't we, we've done a few interviews with athletes in the past, but I think maybe we should put a little more focus on it. And so I just came up with this thought about how we would add a different podcast, maybe during the week, where we do one during the week where we go in depth with one of our athletes and hear their story and see where they've come from, and just kind of go deep with everybody. And we're going to call it we're going to have a second podcast, and it's going to be called C26 Squadcast. So it'll go into personal stories and how they're surviving in triathlon and where they want to go and all that sort of business. So I just think it'd be cool, and I think people will be interested in it. Hopefully. Is that how you want me to describe it? Oh, okay. So Robbie's been dropped. So I'm gonna just keep going on. Oh, there you are. What
I
happened?
plugged it back in. I'm still there. Yeah, it's
Oh.
we're. I'm telling you, man, I'm running on thin juice here on the laptop. But no, you described it perfectly. I can totally see it overtaking this podcast down the road someday, unfortunately. But I have the distinct pleasure to work with so many like truly amazing people, with amazing stories and amazing whys and backgrounds and experiences. And as somebody was commenting, because I'm on the Crushing Iron forum page earlier today, that everybody's been posting and kind of chiming in, and because I made my comment about lurkers, and I said that regardless of age, experience, athletic ability, PR, whatever, we all have experiences that can be contributed and help the entirety of the community. And the athletes that I work with, every single one has a different background, a different story, a different why, a different daily personal and professional and athletic struggles and successes. And I think they all have so much to share, just like everyone else does. And so this can be a way to open that up to allow other people to know that, okay, yeah, everything I see on TV and in commercials and in magazines about all these people that are doing this, like, guess what? That's not real life. We want this to be real life, and how hard it is some days to fit in workouts and the struggles and all that kind of stuff. And so, yeah, I'm totally pumped, and I can't wait to share I shouldn't take it all for myself, and you too, about knowing all these amazing people and, they can do a lot of good for a lot of people that are listening. And so, yeah, I'm so pumped to do it, and to let our athletes again be the stars like they should be.
Mm-hmm. I'm excited. So, if you want to join our closed group, we've had a lot of people coming in there, and it's Crushing Iron Group on Facebook. You just search that in the search bar. We have a public group that comes up too, but if you search Crushing Iron Group, you'll send us a request. We'll let you in, and there's a lot of great conversation on there and good people. If you're interested in coaching, email c26coach@gmail.com. That is you.
That is me.
And we've got our programs and pricing and everything up at crushingiron.com. So you can go there and find out really, and we've got camp information and videos and all kinds of stuff at crushingiron.com. So go check that out. You can email me, Mike, at crushingiron@gmail.com if you have any questions or want my theories on anything. And so, yeah, we're going to start the C26 Squadcasts hopefully this week. I'm not exactly sure when the first one will be out, but we're going to get that going. And again,
Yep.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think it's just about being more inclusive, getting people to share their stories, and hopefully heard from a different perspective. Something will resonate with someone else. That's really what it's all about, is sharing the good stuff.
Sharing is caring.
Sharing is caring. So what else, man?
That's it, man. That's all I got. I'm about to hit the pool.
Are you? You're still
I
doing
am.
swim analysis. I see people, those.
Yes, still doing swim analysis. A couple a day right now. So if you are in the mindset of wanting to get better over the winter and turn your weakness into a strength, or turn your good into great, hit me up. Happy to send you additional info. It's not hard. It's a quick turnaround. Very, very good. It's of all the things we've kind of added on since we started, I think it's gotten the best feedback as far as totally changing an athlete's, not outlook, but I guess kind of outlook on the ability to actually, breaking down barriers when it comes to getting better at swimming, and that it actually is possible. And having aha moments and getting excited about swimming. And it's funny, like even the athletes that I work with that get them done, like the day I get them back, the next day without fail, hey, hope you don't mind, but I had to add this swimming. I couldn't wait to get to the pool. It's like, because they want to get better, because they just don't know. And swimming is a great microcosm of basically this whole podcast of today. It's like you get in, for most people, you get in, you go through the motions, you get out, you don't know what you did right, you don't know what you did wrong, you don't know how to fix it, and then you finish. You're like, but I did 40 minutes, I got in 2K.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Some days that's not going to be good enough.
Yeah. Just imagine standing on the pier or the beach or the whatever and looking out at that swim with the music playing and people all over the place, and your anxiety is nowhere. It's gone. Imagine looking at that water and really being excited about getting in the water. Think about what that would do to your race.
Yeah.
I mean, if you didn't have to think about that swim, and we're all still working on it. I'm still working on it, but it's like it's possible to get excited about the swim and not fear the swim.
Yep. Agreed.
All right, man. Well, we better wrap this up before we get over an hour.
Yeah. Well, I'm on 1% battery, so I'm heading out in a minute anyway, whether I like it or not.
And I'll finish it up for the next hour. It's just Mike talking about nothing.
With the I Have a Theory bonus cast.
Yeah, I'm gonna for the next hour I'll be talking about the Wisconsin Badgers football situation.
Christ. All right.
And there goes the numbers. There goes the statistics
numbers.
right down the yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, it's been a pleasure as always. And thanks for checking out the Crushing Iron podcast number 109, I believe.
That's right, 109. And we'll check you with 110 on Thursday.
All right. Have a great day, everybody.
See you, dude.